Here we are as we enter into the second week of discussing the Gospel of John. The last lecture talked about some of the introductory matters that we have to pay attention to and explore. Now, with each chapter, we'll try and start by giving an outline of how the chapter unfolds. And then we'll talk about various themes that it talks about. And then we will look at the story itself. So if we look at the introductory materials, the themes are oftentimes the theological concepts, the religious concepts that John is talking about relating to God, to humanity, to others. So let's start with the outline. And the outline finds the first 18 verses fairly popularly identified as an introduction called the prologue, the word before the gospel. There's some debate about the 18 verses. There is some discussion about if it's only 5 verses. But the first part is the prologue, and it provides us the information to um, understand a lot of what's happening in the gospel. That's followed by a discussion of John the Baptizer. Now, in the Gospel of John, there's only one John who is named, and it is John the Baptizer. And he comes in 1:19 through 34, and then reappears again in chapter 3. So it doesn't make a lot of appearances in the Gospel, but the discussion and focus is on John. And then in verse 35, we start looking at the followers of Jesus. And there are 5 followers, 2 leave on the first day from John's disciples. One is named Andrew, the other is not given a name. Then Andrew goes to get his brother. His brother is Simon, and Simon is given the name Cephas, which is the Aramaic version, because in the first century in Palestine, the common language was Aramaic. They may speak Greek when dealing with outsiders or people who did not grow up there speaking Aramaic, but they spoke Aramaic. And then Philip is found by Jesus, and he goes to get Nathanael, and this appears to be probably in the Galilee region. And so we have the 5 followers. So that forms the first chapter, the prologue, John the Baptist, and the 5 followers. Looking at the themes, it becomes very full because the prologue acts as a an overture to all that's going to happen. It introduces a lot of ideas in the books that I've written and the papers that I've written. I'm trying to explore how the ideas presented in the prologue actually develop and reoccur throughout the gospel, and whether that makes much difference. But we're going to talk about some of those things. And so, first thing we're going to talk about is chiasm. Now, in the Moodle shell, we have some articles for you to read that talk about chiasm. Chiasm is a structure where there is a series of repetitions happening. And the prologue is identified chiastically in topics. Now, that could be very uncomplex. It can also be highly complex. So if we look at chapter 1 and we look at the first couple of verses, then we know that there is a chiastic structure here. And I'm going to show you what that actually looks like on the screen here in just a moment.